Alright guys, so let's discuss conditionals today. It is something that some people may find a little bit more difficult, but I will try to make it easy. Conditionals are in Czech, we call them podmínkové věty, and in English language they can be a little bit harder to understand. Let me show you how it works. At first, you can find it on page 76, and it is the chapter 7b. I have decided, instead of just studying second conditional, I think it is much better to have a look at the other kinds of conditional that I think that you already know. Let's see how they differ. What is the difference between these three conditionals? I think that the zero conditional and the first conditional you should already know. Let's have a look at how it works. The zero conditional is used when I'm talking about a law or a fact. So something that if A happens, B always happens too. Alright? So if, let's say, if you put your hand into fire, this is A, right? You put your hand into fire. This is A. And if A happens, there's something that always happens too. Because what happens with the fire and your hand, the fire burns your hand. Okay? So if you put your hand into fire, your hand burns. Alright? Not a good thing for sure. But what are we saying with this? We are saying that there's a law or a fact that if you do A, B always happens. There is not a situation where you just put your hand into fire and it doesn't burn. Maybe if you have some gloves, some kind of protection, you'll be okay. Alright? But we are talking in general. This is in general. Alright? General. Mluvíme obecně a říkáme, že existuje pravidlo, existuje jakýsi zákon, něco, co se vždycky stane. Pokud bude A, tak nastane B. Vždycky. Okay? Always. Now, let's have a look at your tenses here. The first one is present simple, the second present simple. Pretty easy, no? If A, then we have present simple, and B, present simple. Alright? Gentlemen, here I believe there is no problem. So remember, it's about law, about a general rule or fact that if A happens, B always happens too. Alright? Now let's go to the first conditional. In the first conditional, I'm talking about the possibility. Let's say for the future. And also I can threaten. Můžu ji někomu tímhle vyhrožovat. Threaten znamená vyhrožovat. Now, I can threaten someone with this. Because if I say, if A, then B will happen. So I'm talking about the situation now, right? Situation now and consequence. So what is important about this? We have a situation right now, and I'm saying if A happens, B will happen as a result. So I'm not giving you the general rule. I am just saying, okay, if you do A right now, B will happen. So actually, if I have fire right here, we can go to A and I can say it in general, and I say, okay, if you put your hand into fire, it burns every time, right? But what if I'm talking about the fire here? Then I say, okay, if you put your hand into the fire, right here, your hand will burn. So there is action and the consequence. Nějaký výsledek, consequence. So if A happens, B will happen. So if you put your hand, alright, into the fire. Have a look at the article here. The fire must be some fire here. I'm not talking about fire in general. There will be no article. So I'm just talking about the fire here. If you do it here right now, your hand will burn. So we use will, alright? So this is for B. B is the action that will be the consequence of your first action. So A, if A happens, A would be putting your hand into fire. If you do that, something will happen to your hand right now. So it is the situation now. There is the consequence that will be the B, your hand will burn. It is a possibility. I'm saying, hey, look, there's fire here. And if you put your hand into the fire, your hand will burn. And you can threaten. So you can say, if you don't stop talking, I will put your hand into the fire, for example. Alright? So you say, if A happens, B will happen for sure. But A is a possibility. It can happen, alright? A can happen. Alright? And I know that if A happens, B will happen as a result. Now, let's have a look at the second conditional. The second conditional can be a little bit similar to the first one, because I'm also talking about if A, then B happens, alright? But the only difference here is that this is impossible suggestion, or it can be your dream. I am dreaming, okay? It can be imaginary. Alright, so there's some situation right now, and I want to change my situation. And I say, if, okay, let's say, I have my hand in the fire right now, okay? There's fire here, my hand is in the fire. Not good, for sure. I'm looking at my hand and I'm saying, if I didn't have my hand in the fire, I wouldn't get burned, alright? But it's too late, alright? I've already done it. I'm looking at this, it's right here, and I'm saying, if I didn't put my hand into the fire, my hand wouldn't burn. Too bad, right? So, it's happening right now, and I'm saying, or let me give you maybe a better example. Let's just go out. This is maybe a little bit negative. Let's just use, if I had wings, I'd fly, okay? Now, wings, maybe like chicken wings from KFC, wings křídla, alright? So, kdybych měl křídla, létal bych. So let's have a look here. If I had wings, this is A, and I would fly, this would be B. So what do I know? If A happened, so here, past, simple. Pokud by nastala Ačko, tak by nastalo Bčko. Then B would